Hello soul family, welcome back to Enlightened Blissful Souls. I want to talk about in today's video why it is that you may find yourself attracting the same type of person just in a different body. If you are someone that has been in a toxic relationship, if you are someone that has experienced maybe lust, or just someone who did not appreciate you, that really took you out of your character, someone who didn't hold or have the qualities that you look for in a person. And let's say that maybe you moved out of that situation, that relationship, maybe you finally decided to end things, maybe you decided to date other people, whatever the case may be. But I want to talk about when you repeat the same cycle, when you find the same type of person in a different body, essentially, and why that happens. Because if you're not fully aware of what's going on and you don't address it, you're going to continue repeating this cycle over and over. And if you are someone who is resonating with this so far, then you know that that could be very draining. And it's also like, wait a minute, why am I still finding a similar individual with the same qualities, whether it is that they're a liar, that they're a cheater, that they're not honest, that they don't know how to communicate, that they're avoidant, whatever the case may be. It can be very, very draining to you and your energy. And you get to a point where you feel exhausted because you're constantly giving and not receiving that back, right? Let me point out really quick, I know what's happening here. That's just my third eye communicating with me even more directly. So if you're hating on this pimple, you're just hating on my third eye, okay? Because mine is like connecting with me. But back to the topic. The reason why you keep finding the same person just in a different body, whether you are dating, getting to know someone, in a relationship with someone else who reminds you of your toxic partner or your past situation, it is because you haven't fully learned the lesson. And that's truly what it comes down to. If you're still repeating a certain cycle or lesson, it is because you haven't learned it. Because once you learned it, that's it, you pass, you move on to next. And you may be thinking, no, but I have learned it. You know, I left that situation, or I'm thinking about it, and it's because I'm aware and I see what's going on. I see that they're not who I thought they were. I see that they're not good for me. Well, that doesn't exactly mean that you have learned it. What I mean is, maybe you have become way too familiar, way too comfortable in that toxic environment, that toxic person has now become, in a way, an addiction or what is familiar to you. Because we can get addicted to toxicness, just like we get addicted to drugs, to substances, right? It's the same thing. Even though it's negative, even though it's draining, even though it's something you don't really want, it can also become addictive because of the dopamine that you get, the constant highs and lows with this person. And that's just what you get familiar with. So subconsciously, you go out and search for something similar because it's what you're used to. As a matter of fact, you can become so accustomed to that when you meet someone who's not like that, you find it weird. You start questioning, like, oh, this person is too calm. This person, why don't they ever put me in my place? Why doesn't this person talk to me in a certain way? Like, you start questioning something good. You start feeling like it's not normal. You start missing the chaos in a way. Again, it all goes back to what you're used to. So if you find yourself repeating this cycle and you're someone who is walking on their self-development journey, you're someone who wants to better themselves, you're someone who wants to break out of that cycle, you just don't know how, it all goes back to going within. It all goes back to looking at your heart. What is it within you that you think and feel you are gaining and getting out of that individual? What aspect of yourself is it that you think that they are fulfilling? Is it the fact that they give you attention? Is it the fact that they make you feel, in a way, desired? Like, because they're constantly arguing, because they're constantly being toxic, maybe that makes you feel that, in a way, they care. What is it that you think that they have, that they're giving you, that you are not giving yourself? It all goes back to yourself and self-love. Or are you just too attached to them? Or are you just too stuck on the idea that they have to be the one? Is it that you haven't fully moved on from this person and you keep finding somebody else to replace them that reminds you of them? Do you, oh, see, I almost couldn't say that. Do you have attachment issues? Do you have perhaps an anxious attachment style? Like, what are your traits? You really just have to look at yourself. Maybe you have an anxious attachment style, and so you constantly feel like you need someone to make you feel appreciated, to make you feel important, to make you feel loved, to make you feel desired and pretty and whatever it is for you. And for whatever reason, you think that this individual could give you that, but it's not even that. It's more so the stories that you make up in your head. You have to look at your own patterns. Do you typically rush into relationships? If you got out of a toxic relationship, did you rush into your next relationship? Or is this something that you need to learn how to slow down at? Like, maybe this time around, you really become friends with that person first. Maybe this time around, instead of you creating a whole story in your mind about who this person is, the potential that they have, the qualities that they have, and how they're great and how they could be the one, instead you slow down and you allow them to show you through action. Don't jump ahead of yourself. And let it be friends. You don't have to jump into flirting. You don't have to text them every single day. You don't have to see them every single day. How about you continue on focusing on yourself, your life, your priorities, the things that you have going on, because your life does not revolve around theirs. And that's the thing. When we meet someone, when we are in a relationship, we sort of forget about ourselves and our world revolves around them. But if you stay focused on you, on the things that you love, that you enjoy, that you prioritize, and you keep that focus even while meeting someone. Don't just keep making the sacrifices for them. Oh, they're available today. Oh, let me go ahead and make myself available. If you had plans with your girlfriends, if you had plans to do something, if you had your own plans, don't cancel them for that person. Say, okay, I'm not available that day, but maybe next weekend. Because then you're giving them too much importance. So you really have to look at yourself, look within, and see where you could be also playing a part in that. You can't just say, oh, this is unfair. I don't deserve to be with a narcissist again. I don't deserve to be with this person who isn't emotionally available for me, who isn't emotionally and mentally mature, who isn't romantic enough. You give yourself that. Be clear on who it is that you want. A rule of thumb that I now have in dating is that I have this list on my notes in my phone of who my ideal person is, right? I have this list where I wrote down everything about that person that I want. And there are things that are negotiable and there are things that are not negotiable for me. Because obviously no one's going to be perfect. I'm not looking for the perfect individual, but I want someone with certain qualities. I want someone who knows how to communicate, who is open-hearted, who can be vulnerable, who is romantic, who is thoughtful, because I love that shit. Bring me flowers. Send me a cute, good morning, good night text. Tell me how you're thinking about me. Bring me a random chocolate just because you thought about me. Communicate with me, which is very, very important for me. Whatever qualities for you are important that you know you want that person to have, because that's what's going to make you guys most compatible. That's what's going to prevent from you feeling like something's lacking, and that's what's going to prevent from you constantly asking this individual to be something that they're not. Because if you want somebody who knows how to communicate, if you need someone who's a protector, a provider, if you need someone who is romantic, but the person that you're dating is not those things, then you're going to constantly find yourself asking that person for that. Well, you never buy me flowers. Well, you never communicate. Well, you never tell me how you're feeling. Well, did you check your list when you started dating them? So I have this list that I go by, and as I'm getting to know individuals, I see what they have and what they don't have. And some things I'm willing to be like, okay, well, they're not the most romantic. Maybe that's something we can work around. Maybe I can teach them that I love flowers and I want them to bring me flowers every so often. You know what I mean? But something I would not negotiate, for example, is communication. If you don't know how to communicate, if you're not vulnerable enough, it's just not going to work out. I'm someone who likes to talk about things. I'm someone who creates a safe space where we can be vulnerable. If you need to cry, if you need to vent, if you need to tell me how you're feeling, I want to know those things. I'm not going to negotiate that. If we're dating and I see that you lack those things, and you can address it. You can say, hey, this is what I'm looking for. And that person just like, I'm not there. Then you decide if you want to work with that or not. But for me, that would just be a no. It's not going to work out. I know it. And this is how you build into a long-lasting, successful relationship, is by addressing these things in the beginning. Be clear on what you both want since the beginning. Don't wait until feelings have developed based on these ideas, based on this fantasy that you created on your mind of who they are, of who they could be, the potential that they supposedly hold. Because then over time, you end up finding out that they don't have those qualities, and you get disappointed, and you end up realizing that you're actually not compatible. And then it's too late at that point, because you're already deep in, you're already attached, you're already have feelings for them, maybe in love with them, maybe like them too much, and you can't really back out. Then it's harder. So when you do these things ahead of time, that's how you avoid running back into a narcissist, right? Running back into that toxic relationship, and you can build something long term. And then stop ignoring the red flags. Like, I feel like we are too intuitive people. Whether you recognize yourself as an intuitive person or not, you are very intuitive. Your gut feeling, your heart, their actions and their words will tell you everything that you need to know. If their actions are not matching their words, stop dismissing that. Stop justifying it, because we often justify, oh, well, maybe he said that and he lied to me about that, or he didn't show up for me in that way because of X, Y, and Z. Maybe that's reasonable. No, don't resonate it. Don't make excuses. This is something that I used to do all of the time. I would be like, well, maybe I just need to be a little bit more understanding. Maybe, they're just going through this and that. And maybe sometimes that could really be the case, but you would know. Your heart will tell you, your gut feeling will tell you, something in you will just tell you, and you will benefit so much from listening to that feeling. You will benefit so much from not dismissing that, because later down the line, you could just end up hurt. If the more you learn to listen to that, the better you will be off, I promise. So that's really what it comes down to, is looking more so in yourself and being clear on what it is that you want out of your ideal person since the beginning. Taking things slow, getting to know them, allowing them to show you. And then just allowing things to flow. There's no rush. There's no need to know things in the very moment, here and now, of how this is going to turn out, if they're the one or not. Maybe they're just an experience, and that's okay too. There are beautiful lessons that I've learned throughout dating that, although in that moment may have not felt that way, although in the moment I was questioning why I was going through that, now looking back at it, I'm like, whoa, I'm so glad I went through that, because that's how I have this wisdom now, So I hope that this has been helpful for whoever came across this video and is watching it. I highly encourage you to apply everything that I said in this video, specifically as you're dating, or even if you're in a relationship already. Reflect on your current relationship. Does that person have those things, or do you constantly have to repeat yourself and ask them for the bare minimum? Maybe that just means you're not compatible. All right, my beautiful friend, if you did find this helpful, please do give this video a thumbs up. I would greatly and highly appreciate that. And also subscribe if you're not already. I would love to continue bringing you guidance and insight along your journey of life. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.